Welcome to the Self-Love Model. On this podcast, we have open-hearted and honest conversations about all things self-love and the journey of self-discovery. This podcast is for those on an everlasting journey of their own evolution, and most importantly, a safe space for us to heal together. I'm your host, Sid, and welcome to your self-love session. Hello, my beautiful angelic baddie. Welcome back to another episode of the Self-Love Model. On today's episode, I am diving deep into everything behind planning an event and bringing your vision to life. Okay, bringing your vision to life when it's something that has not been done around you. It's hands down one of the scariest things you can do. It really stretches you in ways that you didn't even know you could be stretched. And that's the season that I'm currently in as I am building this brand, the Self-Love Model, and building this community and bringing this event to life, which has been a vision of mine. On today's episode, I am going to give you guys all the details, all the tea, and everything behind the scenes of me preparing for this event. So make sure you guys are strapped in. You got a drink ready to go, that you guys are nice and comfortable because I'm taking you guys on a ride today. Okay, so before we really get into the details of this event, I of course have to give you guys a backstory, and I really want to take you guys back to the last event that I had, because that is really what kickstarted all of this. So last September, I had this incredible opportunity from this new bar, lounge / nightclub here in Kansas City called the Layla Lounge. They reached out to me. They had just opened up. I think they were maybe a month into being in business, and they had reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in hosting an event there. And of course, I jumped at the opportunity. I was already checking out this bar, and I was laying in bed, creeping on the Layla Lounge on my phone, and all of a sudden I get a DM from a guy who works with them. That's when he asked if I would be interested. So I just thought that was like the craziest thing. And like the fact that I was already on their page, and that's when boom, I get this like DM, and it's like 1 a.m. in the morning, I think. So yeah, I love when things work out like that. I just like am such a spiritual girly that I'm like, everything is meant to be. This was an alignment, all of that stuff, you know? So yeah, I jumped at that opportunity, and ever since I created the podcast, like even before the first episode, I knew that the Self-Love Model podcast was never meant to just be a podcast. Ever since I started this, it was always meant to be more than just a podcast, because I am someone who I like to be out of the box. I am a creative. I want to create things from my vision. I want to be different. You know, I felt like when I started the podcast that there were so many podcasts out. Obviously, the podcast industry is only growing more and more. And I knew going into it that I didn't want it to just be another podcast. I could see so much more for the Self-Love Model outside of it being a podcast. And that is me bringing the podcast to life, in real life, to where you guys can experience this. And I guess now, like, what I'm really doing is I'm really building community, because that is such a core value of the podcast itself. And that's just something I'm really passionate about. I genuinely love people. I feel like every area of my life has always required me being a people person, you know, like me being a photographer. Like, yes, I need to understand how to work my camera. I need to have a good eye for all the angles, noticing the little details. But a huge part of being a good photographer is being a good people person. You have to be a good people person first before being a good photographer. That is just my take on that, especially working with weddings. I'm dealing with the mom of the bride, the father of the bride. I'm dealing with the aunt and uncle, grandpas, like I've really gotta be a people person. And I bartend as well. So as a bartender, I'm literally entertaining these people at my bar, and I'm striking up conversations with all different types of people. And that's how I make my money. So last September, I had my very first event, and I called it the self-love party because I wanted it to be a celebration, and it was at a bar, so it just felt fitting. And it was such a great turnout. With this last event, I really had 2 weeks to plan it, and within that 2 weeks, I was locked in. I had a vision and I just ran with it. And it was honestly so much fun. I remember waking up every day just so excited. I'm like, okay, what am I going to create today? Like, what things are we going to get done? Who am I going to reach out to? And I felt so alive planning that whole event. And then, obviously there were a lot of fears and challenges that came up as I was creating and planning for this event. And one of the biggest fears I had was, what if no one shows up? And that's something that I am also struggling with. I don't know if struggling. That is something that's also coming up for me again this time around. So that was like, a fear of mine last time, and also just a fear of like, can I actually do this? Is this something that I can do? So fast forward, the day of the event comes. So every single person that arrived at the event received a handwritten letter from me, along with the program of the event, what they can expect, the people that have been involved in the event. And I printed out 50 of those because that was my goal. I was like, if I get 50 people there, like that is a success for me. And sure enough, I ran out of all my envelopes. So there was at least 50 people there and more. And oh my gosh, I also leading the day of the event, guys, your girl was stressed. I felt like the day of the event, like especially like an hour before, I was fully like panicking. But I remember like as soon as Amanda and Jamie got there, they got there maybe like 20 minutes before the event started. Like as soon as I saw them, I just felt myself like instantly relax, and I was like, okay. I was like, everything is gonna be okay. My girls are here, and I'm not like alone in this anymore. And I just felt like sometimes I just feel like it's really just having that emotional support of those people who genuinely care about you and them being present. That's really all we need. So yeah, that was the first event. It was a huge success, and I feel like everyone that was there really enjoyed themselves, and the vibes were just vibing. And I was talking to one of my friends about how I'm doing another event, and she was like, oh my gosh, just yesterday, me and my friend, they were both at the event. They were still talking about how much fun they had and how that was like one of their favorite nights last year. So with that being said, I can put on an event and I can bring people together. I want you guys here at this event. This is like an independent event. I am the sole creator and doer and the everything person. Like usually for events, people have teams of people behind them and they delegate them to do different things, right? But no, for this event, is all me. I am over here talking to vendors. I'm over here reaching out to people. I'm creating content. I'm getting the logistics down, and just doing everything is definitely consuming my entire life. Like this event for sure is consuming my entire life. And I sincerely apologize to everyone that I encounter for the next week leading up to the event, because I will be talking about this event. This will be the only thing I talk about. So if you're listening to the podcast, please fully expect that if you see me, this is what we're talking about. Because why wouldn't I talk about this, right? Like it just means a lot to me, and we're gonna get in deeper about why. And before I move on from the self-love party, there were obviously a lot of things that I learned from planning my first event. I think I really realized how much work really goes into behind the scenes of planning these events. And there were a couple things that night that I had planned that didn't go quite according to plan. I kind of was just like, you know what? It's okay. Everyone's vibing, everyone's having a good time. If this is something that we can't do in this moment, that is okay. And I don't think anyone really cared because everyone was having such a good time. But I definitely learned from that, and going forward into this event, I definitely want to make sure that I have the logistics of everything planned. And I'm sure there will be a lot more things that I learned from this event. I've already learned so much. So I feel like the self-love party, like I said, was the kickstart to these events that I am now planning and bringing to you guys. And the self-love party for me was like an introduction of the self-love model, and really getting people in the room and seeing that, oh, this is not just a podcast. This is like more than a podcast, and that this is something that not only exists online in the digital world, but also something that exists in the real world as well. And I think that is something that I feel really passionate in, is that not only is this an online thing, but it's something that I just firmly believe that there's power in doing something in person. For example, when you meet someone on Instagram, like you make a friend on Instagram, you guys start DMing each other, you guys like each other's stuff, but then you guys finally plan that day to meet. I feel like there's something so magical about finally being able to meet someone that you met online. So for me, that's essentially what the self-love experience is that I want to take the listeners, I want to take you guys through a whole journey. And the journey begins with the podcast episode with me and Tara J. So now that you guys have listened to Tara J and I's conversation, you feel more invested in who Tara J is. Perhaps there was something that we said in the conversation that really affected you, that you took something away from, that it impacted you in a way. And perhaps you want to get to know her more, and perhaps you would love to be around her energy, because there's just something so different about actually being present and experiencing someone's energy versus experiencing it online. I feel like online, it feels so different, versus in person. And that's what I want. So now that you guys have experienced it online, I want to take you guys in real life to where you guys can experience the podcast in real life. So that's really what the self-love experience is that it is my podcast in real life. Not only do you get to listen to self-love, confidence, and empowerment in your ears, you get to experience it live. And I truly believe there is something so powerful in being in rooms with energy like that can really elevate you. So the self-love party was an introduction, and for us to get to know each other, for you guys to really get to know what the self-love model community is all about. Next event, the self-love experience, we're gonna go deeper beyond the surface. I feel like it's a completely different vibe. So if you guys have been following along this journey, you guys know that last year I went through a really big friendship breakup that really impacted me in a deep way. And because of that, I was actively really healing stuff that came up from that friendship breakup. And because of that, I took a step back from podcasting. And towards the end of last year, I was not very consistent with podcasting. And even coming back this year for the podcast, I was feeling a bit of resistance around it. So as I was, prepping for this new season, I really wanted this era to look a little bit differently than it has previously. And, the podcast grows with me. And I feel like from my experiences and the life lessons that I had last year, I felt like I had grown a lot. And I want the podcast to feel like it aligns with the person that I am now. So going into it, I really wanted to have consistency and structure for the podcast, and I really wanted to build a solid foundation for the podcast. And I feel like this time around, I'm really doing just that. I'm building my consistency and a solid foundation for the podcast and introducing the self-love models, which we've talked about 3 of them so far. So there's 2 more. And I also knew that as I was planning for this new season of the podcast, that I knew there was going to be an event at the end of the season. And that is my plan as of now for the podcast, is that with each new season, there's going to be one event at the end of each season that will essentially like close out the season. So I had this vision, right, of me wanting to do this. I was like, I just want there to be some type of element, because I've introduced the self-love session, which are like the photo shoot where I have a guest and I turn it into this whole thing. I really get to know them. We have a coffee date and I use their story to help me build out a whole photo shoot concept. And then with the photo shoot, I build out a whole creative team that I work with, collaborate with, and we bring this whole photo shoot concept to life. And that has really like helped me step into this next phase of my life, where now I don't see myself as just a photographer. I see myself as a creative director because of the vision that I have and my ability to be able to put a team together and to have a creative vision. And that's, taken time. It's taken me really connecting with myself, trusting myself and trusting in my vision, and knowing that I do have a vision and that I have the ability and the capacity to be able to bring them to life. Once I had this vision, Tara J was just the first person that came up to my mind. If you guys have listened to the episode with Tara J and I, you guys know that we met at a pop-up class, and after that class, she just deeply impacted me. I was like, I have to connect with this woman somehow. I remember at that time, my birthday was maybe like a month or 2 later, and I had thought about even doing a birthday party with her and like having my friends come, because I just really wanted my friends and other people to experience what I had just experienced. But that never happened, because I think it was like shortly after that I had the self-love party, and then I just got really busy and completely forgot about that idea. And at the beginning of this year, when I got this vision, this idea, she was immediately the first person that came up to mind for me. And I reached out to her. I didn't let myself overthink it. As soon as she popped up into my head, I like to follow my intuition, and those little hits that I get when someone or something pops up into my head, I do my best to follow that and to honor that, because I'm deeply spiritual, and I just believe that like they can either be downloads or messages from the universe, and I believe in energy and frequencies, and when you're aligned with someone, they will naturally come onto your path. So I reached out to Tara J and she got back to me. We set up our meeting, and I went into this meeting and I essentially told her like briefly of my idea of wanting her on the podcast and then wanting to do an event surrounding the podcast as well. And when I first reached out to her, obviously I have this vision, this idea, but it's like, even now, the idea is still developing. The vision is still developing as I am planning the event. And like, I am getting more clear on what it is that I'm building day by day. So when I first reached out to her, it was still kind of like I have this idea, but it was still kind of vague. There was like no really like hard details. I just like told her my idea. We got to know each other better, and she was like on board. And that, I was just like so surprised with how she was just like immediately on board. Like we just clicked and we both just felt aligned with everything. So it has really made the process really easy, like working with Tara J. And she's just been such a pleasure and joy to work with. And I feel so incredibly blessed, genuinely, to have her support and to have her back the self-love model, because I genuinely look up to her. If you guys listen to the episode, you guys can tell how incredible of a person she is when she speaks. There's power in the words that she's saying. And she, as a woman who has been through it, she's had her life experiences and she's now deeply on her path doing what she is meant to do. And I just really feel so honored for her to bring this vision to life with me. And I could not have asked for a better person to do this with. And the fact that very first self-love experience I am bringing to you guys has a dance class in it, this whole event feels very aligned with my own journey, because dance is not something that I am comfortable with, guys. Like, I feel like people can see my social media now, and people who maybe know me now, they can see me and think like, oh yeah, like she's confident. Of course she's like confident enough to do these dance classes, because I feel like a lot of people have resistance around it. And I am one of those people. I recently saw this reel online about like, and I shared it onto my story, but it was about people, like someone on the dance floor who's been traumatized, how they dance. They tend to like copy someone's dance moves. They kind of like look around. They have fear of like closing their eyes and just like really feeling themselves. And they are just like overthinking. They're like judging themselves, judging other people. And, you know, it's like very performative when they do dance, versus someone who is, you know, embodied and who is just dancing, you know, feeling themselves, and they don't care what they look like, you know, and they're really just in the moment feeling the music and the beat. And that's not me. Okay, I am the first example. Like when I was watching that reel, I was like, yup. I like dancing is not something that I am comfortable with, but I feel like because of that, I've really pushed myself to do more dance classes, because I knew that was something that I wanted to be more comfortable with and more confident with. Another example I have, if you guys still don't believe me, when I was a kid, I have an aunt who was like very spiritual, kind of like me. And I remember we were in her apartment and she had like a friend or two over, and she was, you know, like teaching them, like she like played music and she was like teaching them to just like move to the song, to the music, and to just like feel it. Like it was a part of her like spiritual practice, and she was like coaching these ladies, and I was in the room with them. So she was like, Cindy, like you should do it too. And I remember being a kid, I mean, I was what, like middle school years, I think. And I was like so uncomfortable by it. I was like, there's no way I can do this. I kind of was like just stiff as a board. I was like, maybe maybe a shoulder movement here or there, or I don't know, a head nod. But I was like, I could not do it. So like my uncomfortability with dance started at a really young age. And in the episode with Tara J, I talk about how I was like, I swear, I feel like my trauma with dance started when I was in elementary school in Taiwan and I didn't make the dance team. And ever since then, I just fully believe that I was not a dancer. And I just feel like we, as adults, something that Tara J really talks about is like with adults, at some point in our life, we really develop this like self-consciousness, and that we're just so aware of like other people judging us, you know. And I feel like especially when we haven't done that inner work of really getting to know ourselves and building that self-trust and compassion within ourselves, then we really let other people's opinions and judgments affect us. But once you really do the work, you begin to realize like how other people are so focused on themselves, and how, you know, I just feel like the more work you do, the more connected you are to yourself, and the more embodied you are, and the more free and lighter you feel to be able to just be yourself and move your body. And even if people do judge you, you don't let that affect you, because you've done this work in yourself, you know who you are, and you're confident in yourself. So last year, one of my intentions for the year, as I was vision boarding, writing down my goals and things I wanted to do for the year, one of my things was that I wanted to take more dance classes because I really wanted to be more comfortable in my own body and to reconnect with that part of me and to be able to move freely, you know? So I was like, I feel like taking dance classes will get me out of my comfort zone and would just be nice to have someone teach me how to dance. So I remember after setting that intention, I not even kidding, like a month later, I got an invite to go to a birthday party. She was doing a heels class for her birthday. And that was like my first dance class I took last year. And that kind of like started everything. I remember taking that class and just like, I remember having so much fun at that class. And afterwards coming home and I was like holed up in my podcast room. I had my like mood lighting on and I was just in here feeling myself. I was like practicing those dance moves over and over again. And I remember just feeling so empowered. And it was just so fun. Like I seriously like I think spent an hour or two in my room with my heels in the darkness. Like I had all the lights turned off with some like color lighting on. And I was just in here feeling sexy and connected to myself. And then after that, I took Tara J's class. She had a pop-up class at an event. So then since then, I feel like that's where my, I don't know, my obsession or addiction to dance classes started. Recently, I've actually started taking a dance class every Tuesday as well. And it's a twerking class, y'all. And let me tell you, it is like my favorite thing in the entire world right now. And it's amazing because this class, the studio actually is only 5 minutes away from me. And they just opened up, I think, the beginning of this year. So when I discovered the studio, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. 5 minutes away from me. Let's freaking go. So the first class I took was like their pole class. And now me and my two best friends, we've been taking their twerking classes. And I'm telling you guys, we store so much like trauma and like stress and like we can store a lot in our hips. So I feel like learning to move our hips and being comfortable with that is such a game changer. And outside of dancing, like movement just has been such a big healing modality for me. It's funny too because people see me now and they see me as this really fit girl who is very active, who takes care of her body. And it's funny because I have not always been this way. And I actually have this story, which I don't think I've ever told anyone this story. It's just never ever come up. But I remember back in high school, I went to a workout class with my aunt. We went to Lifetime Fitness and they had a workout class that she was taking. And I was staying over at her house at the time. So I went to this class with her. And I remember during the middle of the class, I actually got so sick. Like I thought I was going to pass out, guys. I was seeing stars. I felt like I was about to pass out. So I, in the middle of class, had to sit my butt down while all these other middle-aged ladies are in this class absolutely killing it. And I remember being in high school who I should be at my peak health. And I feel like I was in high school, maybe like freshman year. I don't even know. But yeah, I just remember feeling really sick. So I was never very athletic growing up, and I was really not that active growing up. I never played any sports as a kid and really stayed inside a lot. I mean, I did play outside, but I just was not active. And it wasn't until, really until like my late high school years that I started to do sports because I really wanted to like get out of the house and I wanted to just have extracurricular activities that like kept me busy. So I got into sports even though I was not good at any of them, but I really enjoyed them. And after I graduated high school, when I got together with Chris, he was really into the gym. So he started to teach me, stuff in the gym, like how to squat, all of that. And So I would say like fitness and like uh, weightlifting and strength training was like my first gateway. It was like my first movement modality that I started to do. And once I started to work out, I really began to start build this confidence within myself through working out, you know, consistently showing up for yourself and learning and really the mind muscle connection and just seeing yourself gain muscle and getting tone. Those are so, it is such a rewarding process, and I really got addicted to the process of working out and seeing the gains. So I feel like that's how movement has been healing for me, because I was able to really become this healthier version of myself who doesn't pass out during workout classes, you know. And then after that, I really got into yoga. There was, for the past couple years, I like went through a phase where I was like consistently taking yoga classes, or I was doing them at home. And I remember this one time when I was doing yoga, because at this time I was really like into yoga, and I knew that yoga can be very healing, and that I was starting to learn about how our body can store trauma. And there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it actually talks about that. And it talks about how trauma can actually be passed down from generations. So there could be trauma that we have stored in our body that is not even ours to carry, that we are still carrying to this day. So that's why movement is such a powerful healing modality, especially yoga, when you carry so much, when you carry trauma in your body. I remember one day I was doing yoga in my room, and I was doing the pigeon pose, I believe. And I was like really getting down deep with it, because I like noticed during my yoga classes that it was, that movement was really hard for me and really painful. And I noticed how tight my hips were. So I was starting to practice that at home more. And I remember every time that I did it, it really just like taught me to really just lean into the experience, and to just like, because when you're in that pose and you're like trying to like stretch out your hips, your body almost like tenses up because of the pain that it is feeling. So I remember being in that pose and really just having to talk myself through it, and basically tell myself like to breathe and to let go, and to breathe and to let go, and to allow myself to lean into that, and to like slowly stretch more and more. And I remember doing that and holding that pose, and all of a sudden I just felt a huge wave of emotion, and I started like bawling my eyes out just from doing this. And I feel like that was really healing. So yoga has been a really big part of my journey as well. And then now fast forward to last year, I started taking dance classes, and now in my current journey of life, dance feels very relevant, and it has been a big part of my journey right now as I'm taking these classes, slowly gaining confidence in myself. I'm definitely still not super confident in it. And like even in our dance classes, when it's time to like freestyle, I like freeze up. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna slide away. Because I'm like, I can do the stuff that the teacher is telling us to do, but then freestyle, I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. But yeah, so movement of any type has been a huge part of my life. So that's why the self-love experience, I feel like I just felt naturally drawn to Tara J and who she is as a person, what she's about. And I feel like this is the energy that we all need in our life. So I'm very excited to be bringing you guys the self-love experience in collaboration with Tara J, Move, Feel, Become. Because on this day, we are going to be moving together, taking her dance classes, and we are going to be feeling together, and we are going to become together. And when I was first talking about this idea and vision with Tara J, we both feel like by starting the event with movement, with dance, we can allow ourselves to really break down the walls and to be more willing to open up and to really connect with the experience. I firmly believe that the vision is planted in my heart for a reason. And I believe that we all get these visions and ideas in our hearts for a reason. And I feel like it is my calling and my duty to follow my calling and to honor that as someone who is so spiritually connected. And I truly believe that there's a reason why I receive these downloads and these visions and why I feel so passionate about the things that I do. It's because I'm meant to bring this vision to life. But even with that being said, it doesn't make it any easier because I am creating something that hasn't been done before. And I am creating something that is all from my head. I'm not following a blueprint. I am doing this all based off of my vision in my head, and I'm creating from my heart. And I feel like that can be really hard as well. And I think that I am putting a lot of pressure and stress on myself because it is such a meaningful event to me. But I have realized that, creating an event like this to where people don't 100% understand what it is, and it can be a commitment. It is on a Saturday. I know that we're all busy, and I feel like with dance being a part of it, it really does scare a lot of people. That's why I really wanted to share my own journey of how movement has been such a big part of my healing journey. And I wanted you guys to really understand that I don't see myself as a dancer, but I'm beginning to see more of that from myself. I'm beginning to feel more comfortable with that. And it's been really beautiful to see myself gaining confidence each week with my dance class I am taking. And I feel really empowered each week taking these classes and to own my sensuality, because as women, I feel like we're so hypersexualized. So it's really nice to have a safe space where I feel like I am allowed to express myself in that way and not feel like I'm being judged, because that space is purely for us to self-express. And I feel like that is a huge part of what dance is. It's a big form of self-expression. And I think that's why I always really admire dancers and people who feel so comfortable to move their body, because I am someone who deeply values self-expression and authenticity. And I feel like dancing really ties in with self-expression and authenticity. Now, let's talk about some of the fears and challenges that have came up for me, because baby, are there a lot of those. I have a feeling this episode is going to be quite long. Like I said, I hope you guys are strapped in, okay? But I feel like I've kind of talked about a couple here and there. One of my number one fear, and I feel like anyone who has dabbled in event planning can deeply resonate with this, is the fear of not filling up the room. And I mentioned this in my very first event too. That was like one of my biggest fears, is that there's not going to be anyone there and that it's going to feel like I failed, and I feel like if we look at that even deeper, I am definitely experiencing just a lot of fear of failure. I have to remind myself that even if I don't reach a certain number of people that I want there, this is really my first event of something to this capacity. Yes, I did a self-love party, but that just felt like a whole different ballpark. Like that was like me getting people to come to a cool, new, trendy cocktail bar. And like, it just feels like commitment-wise, that was very low. Whereas this event, it's very niche. And I am asking people to commit to a whole experience. I just have to look at those fears in the face. And I've had to tell myself throughout this process that like me and fear, we're just going to be best friends. Throughout this journey, I'm walking this path with fear right next to me, and we are doing this together. I am feeling her, she is feeling me, and it is what it is. Like, I don't think that this feeling is going to go away for me. So I've just accepted that feeling these fears are a part of the process, and that it is okay It doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm failing. Just because I'm feeling these feelings, it's because I care a lot about this event. And, this podcast feels like my soul's work. So naturally, I am going to feel all these feelings. And I feel like because I care so much that like every setback truly, truly feels personal. And that's something that I have to remind myself is that like I need to be able to separate myself and like be able to have boundaries and like business when it is business. But like even just like reaching out to people, inviting people, and I'm like when people say no, I'm like they must hate me. They hate me. That has to be it. And it's like obviously people just have lives and people are busy. It's not that they hate me. But I think it's just genuinely because I care so much that things like every little thing can just feel so magnified. And then it's also just like wanting everything to go right and like being the only person who is doing it. Although I will say I feel really, really blessed to have my team of people in my corner who are helping me throughout this process, who are who are there as my support system, because I truly feel like I don't know, I really don't know what I would have done without the people in my lives like supporting me and reminding me that I can do this and that I am doing the dang thing. Like when I am in moments feeling a lot of self-doubt, and I feel really grateful to have people in my corner who do check in on me when they see me post something on social media, like checking in on me and just making sure I'm okay. Because I feel like sometimes like we see stuff on social media and then like we don't really do anything about it, or we just like see it and forget about it. But I think it always feels really meaningful when people see stuff on social media and actually reach out. Yeah, I just feel really grateful to have obviously Amanda and Jamie. They just have been really such a support system, and Amanda actually has been like helping me, and like I just love how confident she is with decision making, and she's very good at like being in business mode when it needs to be in business mode, whereas I feel like I'm so like heart led that sometimes I have a hard time like this is business Cindy and this is personal Cindy, so it's nice to have someone who constantly keeps me in check. And I just feel like it's so nice to have friends who genuinely care and want to help. And I am like learning to allow myself to lean on people, on my community when I need to, and speaking up about what my needs are and not expecting people to know what I need. Which I feel like in the past, I would just like expect people to know what I need and be upset if they didn't know. Obviously I'm experiencing a lot of self-doubt. I recently posted a reel like when I was really just having a bad day, and I think it's just my self-doubts were really getting to me. And also just being hormonal. You guys know how it's like being a woman. Those hormones, man, they can really get you. And I just finding myself overthinking every single thing. That has been, whew, guys, like just overthinking every single post, every decision I make. And that has just been a lot as well. And then also just like making sure that I am not getting myself burnt out. And then also lastly, like just because I am putting out an event, I really have to be visible online, and I'm like posting, so it's like putting myself out there and being really visible can also feel scary. And like I just feel like with all of this, it's like creating something that is completely new to me and having no idea how it's going to turn out. And I feel like I'm just in this area where it feels like there's a lot of unknown. And you guys know what happens when there's a lot of unknown in our life? Our brain freaks out. And I feel like that's what my brain has been doing, because our brain likes familiar things. It likes to know what's going to happen next. But when we don't know, our brain starts to freak out because our brain does not like that. So I feel like I'm experiencing just a lot of that. And I feel like my nervous system is definitely just like an overdrive a little bit because of everything. But it is through that I'm like, okay, I really need to prioritize my routines and my wellness habits that I am implementing. I feel like these things really keep me grounded and in check. I feel like let's like really get into why you guys are here, shall we? I've been chatting you guys' ears off, but now I really want to get into the details of this event because there is so much to talk about, my beautiful angelic baddies. The self-love experience is a space that I've created where you can come in and cultivate more self-love while connecting with a community of like-minded people. Okay, to give you guys some more details on the event, I actually decided to have you guys ask the questions that you guys have regarding the event. So I did a little Instagram question box and you guys had some really good questions. So I have some of your questions in here, and I also added some of my own questions in there as well that I think some people might have, because I just want to get everything out there. Like this episode, I want you guys, after watching this, to be sold on the event and to have no questions and to expect a really good time. So I already explained what exactly the self-love experience is. Now, what can you expect when you walk in? I want you to expect to prepare to have your soul taken care of. That is something Tara J mentioned in the last episode. Of when people take her classes, she's doing more than teaching them a dance move and confidence. She's there to take care of your soul. You go in thinking you're going to just take a dance class and to move your body and to burn some calories, when in reality, you're going in there and coming out a whole different person. And that is the power of movement and community and being in a space of good energy, because energy is truly infectious. And I firmly believe that. So it's so important to be in those spaces with energy that you want more of in your life. So prepare to have your soul taken care of. But really, I want you guys, as soon as you arrive, to feel welcomed. And my vision is when you guys walk in, as soon as you guys park your car, you're gonna walk out and you're walking up to the studio, and I want you guys immediately, as soon as you guys arrive, to feel the warmth of the room and the energy of the place. And as soon as you guys arrive, you guys are going to be greeted by 816 Nutrition, who is our lovely drink vendor for the event. So big thank you to 816 Nutrition for partnering with us for this event, because I really want this to be a whole experience, you guys. Like, I want you guys, as soon as you arrive, to be greeted by 816 Nutrition. And we have curated a specialty drink menu exclusively for the event. There will be 3 drinks. 2 are their like energizing teas, and 1 will be their electrolyte drink for those who don't want the caffeine. And you will be able to order a drink, and they will also have protein balls there as well if you guys want a quick little snack before the class. So yeah, you guys can get started by getting yourself a fun little drink, and then as soon as you enter in the space, I want you guys to just relax. I want you guys to take in the space and to just relax and let yourself settle in with your drink and just explore the space. Maybe say hi to people that you perhaps know there, or maybe say hi to someone new. And we'll have about 30 minutes where you guys get to just mingle and explore, because I am someone who gets overstimulated, especially when I go to events and just new spaces. So for me, I really like to have that time to just kind of like enter into a space and allow my body to like settle and like calm down, because like we're sometimes we can be a little anxious. So like I just like need a moment to like explore the space, take everything in. I want you guys to feel like relaxed and to not feel like we're immediately like, oh my god, starting, you know. So definitely still please arrive on time and to give yourself that time, right? So then, you know, once you guys have settled in, then we will begin the dance class with Tara J. She's gonna introduce herself, get the vibe right and get the energy going for the event. And her work dance classes are just so much fun, you guys. I'm so excited for you guys to experience it. I'm sure if you've been stalking her page or following along, you can tell that she is just such a high energy person and she has such an infectious energy. After we've danced, we've kind of loosened up our body, we feel more open and alive. Then I feel like after a good like workout, a good dance class, my head just feels so much more clear. I feel more clear headed. So that's when I feel like I can really set clear intentions. And then we'll set that together, cool down with a nice sound meditation. And if you guys have never done a sound meditation, it is like one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And I mean that because when I was in Barcelona on my birthday, I went to a sound bath meditation class by myself for my birthday. That's how much I love a good sound bath meditation, okay? So then right after that, we are going to have a live podcast portion and a community. And this is where we'll tie all of you guys in. So I'm going to take us through a releasing activity that I'm really excited about. It's nothing crazy, pretty simple, but I feel like it will be really impactful as well. And then right after that, we will go straight into a live podcast conversation with Tara J and I and you guys. So with this, my vision is that I really want you guys to start the conversation and to lead the conversation. And I'm really there to facilitate. Because I want Tara J to be like the star. I want her to do the talking and then me like chiming in here and there. Because I feel like the people coming to the event, yes, there'll be some people there for me, supporting me. But I feel like a lot of people there are really for Tara J, which I love. And I love that her community, her people are showing up to the event for her. I want this to be an interactive thing, not where you guys are just like sitting there listening to us talk. Like I want you guys to be a part of the conversation. And I feel like that will differentiate us from like other events I've gone to where you are there listening to people talk. Yes, they usually have like a Q&A portion, but for me, like this is really like, I want you guys to be interacting with her. I'm excited. I hope that you guys come ready with some questions, some good questions for her. But if not, I'll definitely have a few up my sleeves just in case like it's, you know, no one has any questions yet. So I'll make sure to like kind of start that so then we can really get the conversation flowing. I am actually, the more I'm talking about it right now, I'm getting really pumped. Like I think this will be so fun. We will be filming this conversation as well. So my hope is that if everything goes according to plan, because you guys, this is like my first time doing a lot of this stuff. So I'm like, I really hope it all goes according to plan. I will love that will be like another episode that comes out from the event, which I think will be really freaking cool. So yeah, that's like quickly just like the flow of the day. And then right after that, there is some time for you guys to just like mingle, and there's different areas in the space that you guys will be able to take picture and interact with. You know me, I like to make things a little fun and interactive. There's actually another room in the studio, which is their heated room where they do like heated yoga. So this room, it's darker. It has like a very small window. So it'll be like a darker room. And this room, I'm calling it my immersive room. So as soon as you walk into this room, I actually don't even want to tell you guys what this room will be. I kind of want you guys to be surprised. But just know that there will be another element to the event, and there will be like the room where we have the conversations, where we dance, where it's brightly lit. But then there will be another section where it's a darker room, more of a quiet room, and that we are calling it the immersive room. And as soon as you walk into that room, it's going to be a completely different vibe. And there will be more picture moments in there. And I also want to give my introverts the option of if you really don't feel like talking as much, you're more than welcome to go into this room. There'll be seating area in there and you can just hang out in there by yourself or do whatever's going on in that room. And even if you want to come to the event but dance scares you, you don't have to do it. You could just go hang out in the other room until the dance is done. Like I want this to, because I really want people who do want to come to the event but are scared of the dance part to still come to the event and enjoy in a way that feels more aligned with you. Oh, and then of course, one important question that people had was, what should I wear? All right, you guys, you know I love a good theme. So the theme of the event is going to be like hip hop, street lifestyle wear. For this event, I was really inspired by Tara J and just who she is. Obviously, I'm doing this event with her, so I'm curating it based off of her. Okay, so imagine you are about to be in a Chris Brown music video as a backup dancer. What would you wear to that? That is that is the dress code for the event. So I want you guys to get crazy with it. I want you guys to have fun. I want you guys to feel like you can express yourself however you want to, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's big baggy sweatpants or maybe a fun skimpy top, lots of fun accessories, maybe like a bandana over your head or just a fun hat like what I have on here, or a crop top, short basketball shorts. And I want you guys to show up in like sneakers, high tops, no heels, because this is like a cardio based dance class. So I want you guys to feel like you can move in your shoes. I mean, I guess if you want to do it barefoot, you can and show up in heels, that's fine too. But I know Tara J loves a good high top, so I want you guys to show up in your best high tops. But yeah, I would say the theme and styling of this event is, if you were going to be a backup dancer in a Chris Brown music video, what would you wear? That is the styling for the event. So take that with what you will and run with it. Have fun with it. This event is designed for you, for us, for the people. And I want to see what you guys come up with. And even if you feel like, well, Cindy, I really don't know what to wear for that, that's okay. Come show up wearing whatever will make you feel your best self. That is totally okay as well. But I know that I personally love a good theme for events, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So, yeah, I love an excuse to wear fun, cute outfits. So, yeah, that is what you can wear for the event. Okay, and then obviously I got a question about like, this person said, I do not know how to dance, but I really want to come and support you. Okay, listen, babe. You do not have to know how to dance. This is like no experience required. If I can do it, you can do it. And I feel like I've already made that really clear in the beginning of the episode, so we're just not going to get too deep into that. And then another question I had, no one asked this, but I just want to put out there, it said, is there food and drinks? So like I kind of mentioned, 816 Nutrition will be there, so that will be like the drinks, and they'll have protein buys. So it's just, drinks and a little bit of snacks if you guys feel called to it. But the event is from 3 to 6. So I feel like that is like in between lunch and dinner time. So my idea is that, you guys will be able to wake up, not have to wake up super early, have enough time to get ready for the event and to do whatever you want to do in the morning, whether that's going to a coffee date or a little brunch action. And then come to the event and have this whole experience dedicated to you. And then after that, you guys can go to dinner, have some happy hour drinks, whatever it is that your heart desires. So, yeah, I feel like, let me just make sure I got everything that I want. Yeah, I feel like that was pretty much everything. I mean, ultimately, I really want you guys to come to this experience with an open heart, open mind, and to do something for yourself. And I want you guys to leave feeling rejuvenated, recharged, inspired. And I want you guys to leave with new perspectives, new takeaways, hopefully new friends, and new energy to take on the new upcoming week. All right, my angelic baddies, that is pretty much everything for this episode. I hope that it was informational and that if you have been hesitating and not sure if this event is for you, I hope that this episode helped clear anything up for you. And I really genuinely hope that I get to see you at the event because if you're listening to this, you are a part of the podcast fam. You are a part of the self-love community. And I want your energy there. And I just feel like this is something that you want to experience and be a part of. And in case you haven't noticed, yes, I have this fun hat. And yes, it is my merch, which will also be available at the Self-Love Experience. So lots of exciting things to look forward to at the event. And if you made it all the way to the end of this episode, I want to give you guys a special discount code for my listeners to where you can use. If you haven't gotten a ticket yet, please make sure you go ahead and buy your ticket instead of waiting because it'll make me feel a lot better. But the code is self-love and you will get $10 off your ticket. And if you guys have any more questions on the event, please feel free to reach out to me. And I hope to see you guys there. This is your invitation to move, feel, and become. All right, guys, I love you. And remember that you are so loved and you are more than enough. Bye, guys. Is your